Hi guys, this is the EdExcel GCSE 91 Maths Paper 1 from the June 2019 series, and it is from the foundation tier. For question 1, we have to write 180 minutes in hours. So to go from minutes to hours, let's write this down. Minutes to hours, we would have to divide by 60. And therefore, hours to minutes, we would have to multiply by 60. So therefore, to convert 180 minutes into hours, 180 divided by 60, you'd find this to be 3. So therefore, 180 minutes, that corresponds to 3 hours. Question number 2, we have to write 0.73 as a percentage. To go from a decimal to a percentage, we would have to multiply by 100. To go from a percentage to a decimal, we would have to divide by 100. So, to convert the 0.73 into a percentage, we multiply the 0.73 by 100, it turns out we get 73%. So we have 73%. Question number 3, we have to work out 10 times by, in brackets, 3 plus 5. Following the rules of BIDMAS, we have to deal with the brackets first. 3 plus 5, that would be 8. So we have over here 10 times by 8, which is 80. So we have 80. Question number 4, we have to write down a prime number that is in between 20 and 30. And remember the definition of a prime number. A prime number has 1 and itself as factors only. So there's a couple of numbers we can choose. We can choose 23. We can also choose 29 as well. Question number 5, we have to find a number that is exactly halfway between 7 and 15. So to do this question, we can find the average value. So we can add these numbers together and then divide by 2. You can think of it as a midpoint. So we have 7 plus 15 divided by 2. So here we have 22 divided by 2, which is 11. So a number which is exactly halfway in between 7 and 15, that will be 11. Question number 6. Harry is planning a holiday for 4 people for 7 days. Here are the costs for the holiday for each person. So travel, that costs £150. The hotel, that's £50 for each day. And spending money, they have £250. We have to work out the total cost of the holiday for 4 people for 7 days. Well, first of all, we can find out how much each person has for the 7 days. So for 7 days per person, we have the £150, which corresponds to the travel. The hotel costs £50 for each day, so therefore for 7 days, the cost of the hotel will be 7 multiplied by 50. And then for the spending money, that's 250. So here we have 150 plus 350. 350 of course corresponds to the 7 times by 50, and then we add on 250. It turns out each person has a cost of £750, and therefore for 4 people, 4 multiplied by 750, it turns out we get 3,000. So therefore the Total cost of the holiday for 4 people for 7 days is £3,000, as shown here. Question number 7. In Adam's garden, the flowers are only red or white or yellow or blue. The chart shows the number of red flowers, the number of white flowers, and the number of yellow flowers. The total number of flowers is 30. We have to work out the number of blue flowers. Well, if we have 30 flowers in total, we subtract off 8 red, we subtract off 10 white, we subtract off 5 yellow. This tells us the number of blue. Working this out, it turns out we get 7. So therefore, we have 7 blue flowers. And now to work out the mode corresponds to the most common. The most common you can see over here, that will be white. So therefore, the mode over here will be white flowers. Question number 8. We have to write the following fractions in order of size. We have to start with the smallest fraction. Now, you'll notice here, we have different denominators. To make our lives a bit easier, it would make sense for us to write all these over a common denominator. So the first thing we can do over here is think to ourselves, what denominator can we use? And you'll notice the 3, the 4, the 12 and the 2 all go into 12. So our common denominator will be 12. So let's just show this. Here we have a common denominator of 12. Now, of course, here we have the 7 over 12. To convert the 1/3 into 12ths, we think to ourselves, how did we go from the 3 to the 12? Well, we multiplied by 4. So 1 times by 4, that's 4. 4 12ths obviously simplifies to 1/3. We then ask ourselves, how do we go from a 4 to a 12? We times by 3. So 3 times by 3, that will be 9. We then ask ourselves, how do we go from a 4 to a 12? We times by 3. So 1 times by 3, that's 3. We now ask ourselves, how do we go from 2 to 12? We multiply by 6. So 1 times by 6, that will be 6. And now if we order these, the smallest one, that's this, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this. So, when we come to write down the order of the fractions, smallest first, we've got the smallest one, which is the 3 12ths, which corresponds to the 1/4. After that, we've got the 4 over 12, which corresponds to 1/3. After that, we've got the 6 over 12, which corresponds to a 1/2. After that, we've got the 7 over 12. After that, we've got the 9 over 12, which corresponds to 3/4. Question number 9. Ruth left her home at 9 AM and walked to the library. She got to the library at 10:30 AM. Ruth walked at a speed of 4 miles per hour. We have to work out the distance Ruth walked. Well, what connects the distance to the time to the speed is the following. We have speed, which is equal to distance over time. Therefore, distance is equal to speed multiplied by time. So therefore, to work out the distance, that will be the speed, 4 miles per hour, multiplied by the time, from 9 o'clock to 10:30, that is 1.5 hours. So we multiply 4 by 1.5 hours, it turns out we get 6 miles. For part B of the question, Ruth got to the library at 10:30 a.m. She stayed at the library for 50 minutes. She then walked home. Ruth took 1¼ hours to walk home. At what time did Ruth get home? Well, over here, we can indeed convert the units. Of course, hours to minutes, we would have to multiply by 60. Minutes to hours, we can divide by 60. Now, if she got to the library at 10:30 a.m, we can find out what time she left the library if she stayed for 50 minutes. So she left the library at 10:30 a.m. plus the 50 minutes. Turns out she left the library at 11:20 a.m. And then if it took her 1¼ hours to walk home, well, to convert the 1¼ hours into minutes, so 1¼ hours into minutes, multiplying this by 60, this is equal to 60 minutes plus 15 minutes, which is 75 minutes. So therefore, you can see that she arrives at home at 75 minutes plus this 11:20 a.m. So we have 11:20 a.m. plus the 75 minutes. It turns out we get 12:35 p.m. So we have 12:35 p.m. Question number 10. For part A, we have to solve t plus t plus t equals 12. Well, we see over here, in total, we have 3t on the left-hand side. So 3t, that's equal to 12. And if I divide both sides by 3, we see that t is equal to 12 divided by 3, which is 4. For part B of the question, we have to solve x minus 2 equals 6. If I add 2 to both sides, we see over here x is equal to 6 plus 2, which is 8. For part C of the question, we have to solve 6w plus 2 equals 20. Well, I want to get the w by itself, so let's get everything involving a w on its own. So if I subtract 2 from both sides, we see that 6w is equal to 18. And now if I divide both sides by 6, we see that w is equal to 18 divided by 6, which is 3. So w is equal to 3. Question number 11, we have to work out 74 times by 58. To do this question, we can use the grid method, for example. So we can begin by drawing ourselves a grid, like so. And we can split this grid up further, like so. And then we've got something over here, and then we've got something over here. So we've got the 74, which we can rewrite as 70 plus 4. We've got the 58, which we can rewrite as 50 and 8. So if we multiply these together, 70 times by 50, that's 3,500. 50 times by 4, that's 200. 70 times by 8, that will be 560. 8 times by 4, that will be 32. And if we add these together, 3,500 plus 200, that's 3,700. 560 plus 320, that's equal to 592. and now adding together 3,700 and 592, it turns out we get 4,292. So we end up with 4292. Question number 12. AB and BC are perpendicular lines. We have to find the value of x. Well, if we have perpendicular lines, we can see over here that the angle ABC, this is a right angle. Of course, we have 90 degrees. So these three angles added together must give this 90 degrees. So in other words, we have 25 plus x plus 25 equals 90. We have x plus 50, which is equal to 90. And now if I subtract 50 from both sides, we see that x is equal to 90 minus 50, which is 40. Question number 12 for part B. RS and TU are parallel lines. That means they never cross each other. PQ is a straight line, as we see here, and the size of the angle, an angle of size 125 is shown on the diagram that's over here. We have to write down the letter of one other angle of size 125. Give a reason for your answer. Well, you can hopefully see over here we have corresponding angles, so this angle is equal to this angle. So therefore, we see we have the angle D, which is equal to 125, because we have corresponding angles. And now for part II of the question, we have to explain why A plus B plus C is equal to 235 degrees. Well, here, angles around a point add up to 360. So we can use that to form an equation. We see here that A plus B plus C plus 125 is equal to 360 degrees. And the reason for that is angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. So if I now subtract off 125 from both sides, we see over here A plus B plus C, that's equal to 360 minus 125, which is 235. Question number 13. The length of a line is x centimeters, and we have to write an expression in terms of x for the length of the line in millimeters. Well, here, to go from centimeters to millimeters, we would have to multiply by centimeters to millimeters, we have to multiply by 10. And millimeters to centimeters, we would have to divide by 10. So therefore, if the length is x centimeters, multiplying this by 10, we see that the length of the line, that will be 10x millimeters. For question 14, for part A of the question, we have to work out 1/5 of 70. Well, working out 1/5 of something, that's the same as dividing by 5. So 70 divided by 5, that's equal to 14. For part B of the question, Fiona has to work out the exact value of 48 divided by 1/2. She writes 48 divided by 1/2 equals 24. Fiona's reason for this is there are 2 halves in 1, so there will be 24 halves in 48. We have to explain what is wrong with Fiona's reasoning. Well, over here, if we actually work out 48 divided by 1/2, we can rewrite 48 as 48 divided by 1. So here we have 48 divided by 1 divided by 1/2. So our next step is to flip this second fraction, so we rewrite it as 2/1, and we change the divide to a times. So what in fact she was supposed to do is multiply by 2. So she divided by 2, but she should have multiplied by 2. Question number 15, we have to write down the value of the square root of 64. Well, if I square root 64, I get 8. But don't forget, because we're square rooting, we have two solutions. We have a positive and a negative. And now for part B, we have to work out the cube of 5. That just means we multiply 5 by itself 3 times. So it turns out we get 125. For question 16, we have to expand 5 lots of 2m minus 3. Well, here we multiply everything on the outside by everything on the inside. So we have 5 times by 2m, that will be 10m, and then we have 5 times by minus 3, which is minus 15. So it turns out we get 10m minus 15. For part B of the question, we have to factorise 3 lots of n plus 12. In terms of numbers, what's the highest common factor of 3 and 12? That would be 3. So then we open up our brackets, and then we think to ourselves, 3 times by something gives 3n. Of course, that's just n. 3 times by something gives 12. That something would be 4. So we have 3 lots of n plus 4. Question 17, Stuart throws a biased coin 10 times. He gets 7 tails. Maxine throws the same coins 50 times. She gets 30 tails. Prasha is going to throw the coin once. Whose result will give the better estimate for the probability that she will get tails, Stuart's or Maxine's? You must give a reason for your answer. So we see over here that Maxine will get a better estimate for a probability because she had more trials. Okay. And now for the next part, we have to use Stuart's and Maxine's result to work out an estimate for the probability that Prasha will get tails. Well, we have to just add these together. So here we see if we use these results, 10 plus 50, that's 60, so the probability will be out of 60. And of those 60, the number of tails we get, 7 plus 30, that's 37. So our probability is 37 out of 60. For the next question, question number 18, the diagram shows a rectangular garden path, and in this question, the rectangle has dimensions 600 centimeters and 120 centimeters. Wasim is going to cover the path with paving stones. Each paving stone is a square of side 30 centimeters. Each paving stone costs £2.50. Wasim has £220 to spend on paving stones. Show that he has enough money to buy all the paving stones he needs. Well, if we have these little square stones, we can find out how many squares will go across and how many squares will go along this width over here. So in terms of the length, we have over here 600 divided by 30. That tells us we need 20 stones going across. And in terms of the width, 120 divided by 30, this turns out to be 4. So we have 4 stones along the width. And therefore, to find out the total number of stones we need, essentially what we're saying over here is there are 4 stones going this way, like so, and then we have 20 stones going this way. So therefore, the number of stones we have in total will be 20 multiplied by 4, which is 80. So therefore, we have 80 stones in total. So therefore, if one stone costs £2.50, for 80 stones, we have 80 multiplied by £2.50, turns out we get £200. And this is less than the £220, and therefore we can conclude that he has enough money. Question number 19. We have to work out 2/3 minus 1/5. And the way I approach this question is I use cross multiplication. So we have 2 times by the 5 minus 3 times by the 1 over 3 times by the 5. So here we get 10 minus 3 all over 15. Turns out we get 7 over 15. So we have 7 over 15. For part B of the question, we have to work out 2/3 times by 3/4. Well, over here, we multiply the numerators together, 2 times by 3 on the top. And on the bottom, we multiply the denominators, 3 times by 4 on the bottom. So here we get 6 over 12, which turns out to be 1/2. So here we get 1/2. For question 20, we have two squares A and B. The length of the side of the square A is 50% of the length of the square B. What does this mean? Well, it means that whatever length we have for B, the length for A will be half of that. So let's just say that here we have the length x. This corresponding length will be 2x. And we have to express the area of the shaded region of square A as a percentage of the area of square B. Well, because we have a square, each side has the same length. So for the small square A, each length has 2x. For the big square B, each length is 2x. Now the shaded region here, that's a triangle. And the area of a triangle, of course here we have a right angle triangle. The area of the shaded region, that's equal to 1/2 times by the base x times by the height. So we have 1/2 times by x times by x, that's 1/2 x squared. And now the area of B, so the area of B, that's the area of the square. So here we have 2x multiplied by 2x, which is 4x squared. And therefore, to find out this percentage, the percentage that's equal to the shaded 1/2 x squared divided by the 4x squared multiplied by 100. So we have to work this out. So essentially the x squareds cancel on the top and the bottom. We have 1/2 divided by 4, which is 1/8. So here we have 1/8 divided by 100. So it turns out we get 12.5%. Question number 21. There are 40 students in a class. Each student walks to school or cycles to schools or gets the bus. There are 22 girls in the class. 9 of the girls walk to school. 7 of the boys cycle to school. 6 of the 10 students who get the bus to school are boys. We have to find the number of these students who walk to school. And to do this question, hopefully you can see we've got two categories. We've got boys and girls, so we've got gender, and then we've got the method in which they get to school: walking, cycling, or getting the bus. So therefore we can construct a two-way table. So here we've got this two-way table. Now let's fill in the information we know already. We see already that there are 40 students in total. So here we have 40 students in total. There are 22 girls in the class, so the total number of girls is 22. So that corresponds to this piece of information. And what we also see is 9 of the girls walk to school. So girls who walk, that would be 9. So we can shade that in. So what else do we know? We know that 7 of the boys cycle to school. So here 7 boys cycle. So if we grab a different colour, here we have 7, and we know that 6 of the 10 students who get the bus are boys. So this tells us there are 10 students who get the bus, and if we just shade that in, so we have 10 students who get the bus, and of those 10, 6 of them are boys. So if I shade this in, 6 of them are boys. And we have to find out the number of students who walk to school. Well, if we complete this two-way table, 40 take away 22, that's 18. 10 take away 6, that's 4. 18 take away 6 take away 7, that's 5. 5 plus 9, that's 14. 22 take away 4 take away 9, that will be 9. 7 plus 9, that's 16. We're looking at the number of students who walk to school. That will correspond to this 14 over here. So we have 14 students, okay? For question number 22, there are only blue coats, red cubes and yellow cubes in a box, and the table shows the probability of taking at random a blue cube from the box, and the number of red cubes in the box is the same as the number of yellow cubes in the box. We have to complete the table. So if the number of red is the same as the number of yellow, the probability of selecting those is going to be the same. So therefore here we're going to get a probability of x. Here we are also going to get a probability of x. And we know that the probability adds up to 1, so the sum of probabilities is equal to 1. So we have 0.2, that's the probability of a blue, plus the probability of a red, that's x, plus the probability of a yellow, that's equal to x. This is equal to 1. So we have 2x plus 0.2, that's equal to 1. Our goal is to find out what x is. So if I subtract off 0.2 from both sides, we see that we have 2x, which is equal to 0.8. And now if I divide both sides by 2, we see that x is equal to 0.4. So now if we complete the table, we have 0.4 here and 0.4 here. And now for part B of the question, there are 12 blue cubes in the box. We have to work out the total number of cubes in the box. So if we have 12 blue, essentially what's happening over here is the 0.2 corresponds to 12. So therefore 0.4, which is twice 0.2, that will correspond to 12 times by 2, which is 24. So therefore we have 24 red and 24 yellow. And therefore the total number of cubes, that will equal 12 plus 24 plus another 24, which is 60. So therefore it turns out we get 60 cubes. Question 23. Dion needs 50 grams of sugar to make 15 biscuits. She also needs 3 times as much flour as sugar, 2 times as much butter as sugar. Dion is going to make 60 biscuits. We have to work out the amount of flour she needs. So first of all, for 15 biscuits, what do we see over here? We have over here 50 grams of sugar. So she has 3 times as much flour as sugar. So 3 times by 50, that's 150. So therefore she has 150 grams of flour, which is required. 2 times as much butter as sugar. So that will be 2 times by the 50, which is 100. So we have 100 grams of butter. Okay. Now for 60 biscuits, what we see over here is to go from 15 to 60, we need a scale factor. That scale factor will be 4. Because 15 times by 4, that will be 60. So we multiply each of these ingredients by 4. So therefore, if we do that, we see that we have 200 grams of sugar, so 50 times by 4, that's 200. 150 grams times by 4, that's 600 grams of flour, and 100 times by 4, that's 400 grams of butter. So therefore we require 600 grams of butter. Now for part B of the question, Dion has to buy all the butter she needs to make 60 biscuits. She buys the butter in 250 gram packs. How many packs of butter does Dion need to buy? Well, we've got this first pack that's got 250 grams in it, so this is one pack. And if I add on another 250, this takes me up to 500. So here, having another pack, I've got 500 grams, but I need 600 grams, so I need another pack. So adding on another pack, you can see over here, this takes me to 750. So you can see here, I need 3 packs. Of course, I'm not going to use every single gram of butter up, but you can hopefully see I need 3 packs. Okay. Question number 24, we have to find the highest common factor of 72 and 90. The way I like to do this is I like to split 72 and the 90 into its prime factors. Two numbers which multiply to give 72, one of which is a prime number, we have 2 and 36. 2 is a prime number, 36 isn't, so the 36 we can split up into 2 times by 18. 2 is a prime number, 18 isn't, so the 18 we can further split up into 2 times by 9. 2 is a prime number, 9 isn't, so the 9 we can split up into 3 times by 3. So if we now split the 90 up in a similar way, two numbers which multiply to give 90, one of them a prime number, we have 2 times by 45. 2 is a prime number, 45 isn't, so the 45 we can split up into 2 times by, so we can split that up into 3 times by 15. 3 is a prime number, 15 isn't, so the 15 we can split up into 3 times by 5, and 3 and 5 are both prime numbers. So when we come to find out the highest common factor, we see that we have a 2 which is common to both. We also have a 3 which is common to both. And we also have another 3 which is common to both. So multiplying these together, 2 times by 3 times by 3, it turns out we get 18. So therefore the highest common factor is 18. Question 25. The diagram shows the plan, front elevation and side elevation of a solid shape drawn on a centimetre grid. And in the space below, we have to draw a sketch of the solid shape. Well, we see that the front elevation is the same as the side elevation. And we have to give the dimensions as well. So we see over here that the radius of the top of the circle, the plan in other words, that will be 2. In other words, the diameter is 4. And here, for the front and side elevation, we have 4 over here as well. So therefore, that suggests to us we have a cylinder. So if I draw all of this out, we have a cylinder over here. Now in terms of the dimensions, here, we've got the diameter which is 4 centimeters, and the height of the cylinder, that will be 5 centimeters. Question number 20, we see over here that shape A can be transformed to shape B by a reflection in the x-axis, followed by a translation by vector CD. We have to find the value of C and the value of D. Well, if we deal with the reflection in the x-axis, if I reflect this shape A in the x-axis, it turns out we get something which looks like this. So this is the reflection. We'll call it A dash. And we want to go from A dash to B. So that will be the translation by vector CD. So if we pick a general point, suppose this one, the corresponding point is over here. So we see we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units to the left and 1 unit down. So therefore, we see over here we have 6 going left and 1 going down. So in other words, C is equal to -6, D is equal to -1. Question number 27. A shop sells packs of black pens, packs of red pens and packs of green pens. There are 12 pens in each pack of black pens, 5 pens in each pack of red pens, 6 pens in each pack of green pens. On Monday, the number of packs of black pens sold to the number of packs of red pens sold to the number of packs of green pens sold is in the ratio 73:4. A total of 212 pens were sold. We have to work out the number of green pens which were sold. So, we see over here, first of all, we can find the ratio of the pens sold. So if we do that, so the ratio of the pens sold, we have 73:4 for the packs of those sold. We see that we have 2 pens in each pack of black pens, so 2 times by 7, that's 14. So here, black to red to green. We've got here 14. 3 times by 5, that's 15. 6 times by 4, that's 24. And that's because we have 2 pens in each black pack, 5 pens in each red pack, 6 pens in each green pack. And we know that the ratio of the packs is 73:4. So, with this, we want to find out the number of green pens sold. So first of all, we can find the number of parts. And if we do that, 14 plus 15 plus 24, that's equal to 53. So therefore, the number of pens per part, that's equal to 212 divided by 53, which is 4 pens per part. And therefore, the number of green pens, that will equal 24 multiplied by the 4, which is 96. So we have 96 green pens which are sold. Question 28, we've got 2 rectangles here, A, B, C, D and P, Q, R, S. QR is 10 centimeters, so let's just add this here. We have 10 centimeters here, so therefore this is also 10 centimeters. BC is equal to PQ. Well, I don't know the length of PQ, but if I call it X, for example, X centimeters, then this is also X centimeters. And because we have a rectangle here, we have X centimeters, and here we have X centimeters. We know that the perimeter of ABCD is 26. The area of PQRS, that's 45. We have to find the length AB. Well, I don't know what AB is, so let's just call it Y for now. And if I consider the triangle PQRS, the area of that is equal to 45 centimeters. So 10 times by X, so in other words 10x, that's equal to 45. So dividing both sides by 10, we see that X is equal to 4.5. And if we consider the perimeter, we know that the perimeter is equal to 26. So if we consider this rectangle ABCD, we have 2x plus 2y, that's equal to 26. So we have 2 lots of 4.5 plus 2y, this is equal to 26. So we have 9 plus 2y, which is equal to 26. If I subtract 9 from both sides, we see that 2y is equal to 17, and therefore dividing both sides by 2, we see that y is equal to 17 divided by 2, which is 8.5. So therefore we have 8.5 for the length of AB. Question number 29, we've got the graph of x squared minus 2x minus 3 shown here, and we have to write down the coordinates of the turning point of the graph y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. Well, that turning point is over here, and this has coordinates 1, minus 4. So therefore we have 1, minus 4. And now for part B of the question, we have to use the graph to find the roots of the equation x squared minus 2x minus 3. Well, the roots of the equation, that's when the graph intersects the x-axis, and it intersects the x-axis here at minus 1, and also here at x equals 3. So therefore, we have the roots being x equals minus 1 and 3. So that's the end of the paper.